let's be honest, men aren't always great at expressing what they really want in bed, not because they're emotionally shut down or afraid of you. Often it's because they're terrified of judgment, of being misunderstood, of being vulnerable about what truly turns them on. So what do? They suppress it. They realize that they hope you'll just get it. They fantasize silently and never speak it into the room. But here's what you need to know. When you tap into the unspoken desires of a man, when you show him that you're curious-afraid and tuned in to his deeper cravings, you instantly become the woman he can't forget. Not just because you're satisfying him, because you're seeing him, accepting him, turning him on in ways he didn't think were even possible. So today, I'm revealing 6 dirty things secretly want you to do in bed, but will almost never ask for. These aren't cheap tricks. They're emotionally intelligent, wildly effective, that they're and deeply craved. Let's dive in. There's something electric that happens the moment you flip the script. When you take control, even for just a few seconds, you change everything. See that most men are expected to lead in the bedroom. They carry the pressure of making the first move, setting the rhythm, keeping things exciting. And while many of them embrace that role, what they won't admit is that they secretly fantasize about surrendering it for just a moment to a woman who knows her power. When you're the one who pins him down, grabs his face, realize that or straddles him without warning, it shocks his system in the best possible way. It tells him, you're mine right now. And that's something he craves more than he'll ever tell you. Realize that because here's what's really happening underneath the surfacey. When you take charge, you're not just stimulating his body, you're turning off the part of his brain that's always trying to lead, fix, perform. You give him the rare experience of feeling pursued. Realize and pursuit is something most men don't even realize they're starving for. Realize that when you make the first move, when your body says yes before your words ever do, it's like flipping a switch in him. The confidence, the hunger, the feminine boldness, it bypasses his ego and speaks directly to his primal self. It awakens something deeper than arousal. It stirs a deep emotional attachment to how you made him feel there. And here's the beauty of it. You don't have to dominate the entire experience. You don't need to take over the whole night. All it takes is a few seconds. One moment where you push him back, kiss him with intensity, and whisper, I've been thinking about doing this to you all day. It could be the way you initiate undressing him first, realize that or the way you guide his hands without asking. It's not about aggression, it's about confidence. It's the contrast between who you are in everyday life, realize that and who you become when you're connected to your desire. That contrast is intoxicating. And it sticks with him because now you're not just the woman he shares physical intimacy with, you're the woman who unlocked a part of him he didn't even know was waiting to be touched. What makes this so powerful is how rare it is. Most women hold back, they wait for cues, they want to be wanted, but rarely express their own wanting. So when you flip that dynamic, even briefly, you create a memory. You show him that pleasure isn't something that just happens to you, you own it. And in doing so, you invite him into a version of himself that's more vulnerable, to realize that they're more open and way more deeply connected to you. So don't underestimate the power of just one moment where you take control. It doesn't make you less feminine. They realize that it doesn't threaten his masculinity. It makes the entire experience unforgettable. And trust me, he'll think about that moment again and again and again. Let's be real. Dirty talk has become one of the most misunderstood tools of intimacy. People think it's about saying something wild or scripted to sound sexy, but in reality, realize that the kind of talk that truly drives a man crazy isn't about shock value, it's connection. It's about speaking to him in that moment with your voice there in a way that tells him you're not just there, you're in it with him. What men secretly want more than anything is to feel that their partner is present, turned on, engaged. They realize that and when you use your words to express that, that's when he gets addicted, not to your body, to your experience of him. Dirty talk doesn't have to be loud or graphic. In fact, the most powerful words are often the quiet ones, the ones you murmur in his ear when he's inside you, the soft, breathy, there. I don't want you to stop. Or you feel so good like this. It's the dirty that's laced with truth, with feeling. When you say something that tells him how much you are enjoying him, his body is rhythm, the way he moves. It flips a switch in his brain. It activates a part of him that feels needed. They're masculine, chosen. And more than that, it lets him know he's pleasing you. And there's nothing. Now, that arouses a man more than knowing that you're losing control because of him. But here's the part most people missy. Dirty talk doesn't need to be pre-planned. You don't have to memorize lines or say something that doesn't feel like you. In fact, realize that if it's too rehearsed, it breaks the moment. What he wants is authenticity. He wants you to speak from your body, from your instinct, if you're turned on. Say it. Realize that if you love what he's doing, tell him. If you've been fantasizing about him all day, whisper that while he's touching you. That's not just dirty. That's dangerously hot, because now it's not about being performative. It's about being emotionally naked. And here's where it gets deeper. When you speak to him in that raw, turned on state, eyes that you're also giving him permission to let go. You're saying, I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to feel this. And in doing so, you make it safe for him to feel, to open up, express, to explore. That emotional safety combined with physical intensity. That's what creates obsession, not the words themselves, but what the words unlock. So stop overthinking it. You don't need to be someone you're not. You just need to stop filtering the very feelings he's desperate to hear. Because when you let him hear your desire, not in moans, realize that but in words, he doesn't just want your body. He wants the experience of being the man who brings that out of you. Realize that and that is what he'll replay in his head over and over long after the night is over. There's a silent burden most men carry especially when it comes to intimacy. They're expected to lead everything. Make the first move, plan the moment, create the mood, read your signals, initiate touch, initiate passion and keep the energy going. And while some men embrace that roll with confidence, what many won't admit is how much they secretly crave a moment when you take the lead. A moment where they don't have to guess if you want them because your actions already said it loud and clear. When a woman initiates the first move, whether it's pulling him closer, realize that starting the kiss, guiding his hand, or climbing on top, it breaks a cultural script he's seen play out 100 times. And in that break, something powerful happens and his nervous system relaxes, his desire spikes. His walls come down because now he's not performing. He's being chosen. This doesn't mean you have to flip roles and dominate everything. It means that a moment of boldness, of clear sensual initiation can change the entire dynamic. Imagine what it feels like for him when you walk into the room, slide your hand across his chest, lean into his ear and say, come with me. No over explaining, no waiting for permission. Just a woman who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to claim it. That moment that's unforgettable. Not just because it's sexy, but because it's rare. Most women wait. They wait for him to prove something, to build comfort, to show confidence. And yes, there's a time and place for that. But when you flip the moment and show your desire, your hunger, your clarity, it taps into something deeper. It tells him, I see you. I want you right now. And when a man feels wanted, he doesn't respond physically. He bonds emotionally because you just became the one who made him feel desired without needing to earn it first. Realize that kind of power isn't about being aggressive or detached. It's about being clear. There's so much eroticism in certainty, in the way your hands move with confidence, in the way you kiss him without hesitation, in the way you walk into his space and let your body say, this is happening. When you do that, you're giving him something most men rarely get, the chance to surrender to a woman's desire. And that surrender, that's not weakness. It's intimacy. It's the moment where roles blur and connection deepens. Because now they realize that he's not just leading, he's responding. He's caught up in your rhythm, your energy, your initiative. So don't wait for him to read your mind. Realize that don't hold back your desire like it needs a special invitation. You are the invitation. And when you make the first move, not out of needness, but out of bold confidence. You unlock something primal in him, and long after that moment passes, what he'll remember is just what you did, but how it made him feel completely wanted, completely chosen, and completely yours. There's an art form that often overlooked in intimacy. It's not loud, it's not flashy, and it's not even always sexual in the obvious sense, but it's the thing that men remember long after the lights are off and the night is over, the way you touch them. Because what most people don't realize is that men are touch starved deeply. They go profoundly, not just in bed, but in everyday life. Society teaches men to stay strong, be tough, stay stoic. And so few of them ever get to be touched with tenderness, intention, and emotional warmth. When you use your hands, not just during sex, but throughout, you speak a language most men are desperate to hear. It's the kind of touch that says, you're safe, realize that you're seen, you're desired. And that alone, that's enough to make him crave you on a soul level. It could be the way your fingers trace the line of his jaw. The way you slide your hands slowly under his shirt, not rushing to get to the main event, but savoring the process. It's the trail you draw down his spine, the way your palm rests over his heart. These aren't just physical gestures, they're emotional signals, and they hit differently than anything he gets from anyone else. A lot of women get caught up in the obvious moves, but obsession doesn't come from the obvious. It comes from the details, from that moment where he feels your hands linger on a part of him he didn't expect. His thighs, the back of his neck, the crease of his elbow, the way your fingertips glide over his stomach, slow, deliberate teasing. These are the touches that awaken him, not just sexually, but emotionally. Realize that because what you're saying without words is, I want all of you, not just the performance, not just the goal, but every inch, every breath, every part of him there. When you use your hands like that, you do more than arouse him. You anchor yourself into his body memory. He starts associating your touch with calm, with pleasure, with comfort and heat. Realize that that's a deadly combination, because now he doesn't just think about you when he's turned on. He thinks about you when he's anxious, when he's tired. They realize that when he wants to feel close to someone. And that's when you've gone beyond lust. You've become a need. It doesn't take theatrics. It takes presence. They put down the mental checklist of what you should be doing and just feel what's under your hands. Breathe with him. Be in your fingertips. Men aren't used to that kind of attention. Realize that So when you give it, it registers on a level that's so deep, it bypasses logic. It speaks directly to the part of him that longs to be unraveled by someone who actually sees him, not as a machine, as a protector, but as a man who wants to be felt there. And once he's felt that, he'll never forget it. No matter where he goes, no matter who touches him next, he'll feel the difference. Every man has fantasies. Some he knows some he hasn't even let himself fully explore yet. But what most men rarely get to experience is a woman who's not only unafraid of her own desire, but confident enough to speak it out loud. And I don't mean in some over-the-top scripted way. I mean quietly, whispered into his ear when the rest of the world is asleep. Because here's what you have to understand. For all of the physical stimulation men receive, the thing that haunts them is what happens between their ears. And when your voice is the one living there, soft, bold, suggestive, it becomes impossible to ignore. There's something uniquely erotic about hearing the woman he's with express a fantasy. Not in performance, but in truth. It's not about being vulgar, it's about being vulnerable, letting him to a secret world inside you. A moment where you let your desire speak, raw and unfiltered. It could be something as simple as, I keep imagining you taking me up against the wall. Or, I dreamed about your hands last night, woke up needing them. It's not the content, it's the intimacy of the reveal. When you whisper your fantasies into his ear, you're not just turning him on, you're building a bond. You're saying, I trust you with this part of me. And that kind of trust does more than excite him, it melts him. It invites him into a deeper layer of connection, one most men rarely get to experience. Realize that because you're not just a partner in the act tip, you're a co-creator of the moment. Here's the secret no one tells your men long to be chosen as the object of your desire. There, when you tell him what you want him to you or what you want to do him, he's no longer just performing. He's becoming the man of your fantasy. That gives him purpose, power, a deeper sense of masculine presence that's driven not by ego, but by emotional invitation. And the whisper matters, that they're close to the skin moment, the intimacy of your breath on his neck. It bypasses logic and goes straight to the limbic system. His emotion, his memory, his attachment. Realize that it's why he'll remember exactly how you said it, exactly how it made him feel. He might not remember what you were wearing there or even what the room looked like, but he'll remember the moment you said that made his heart beat faster. So don't hold back your fantasies. Don't file them away under maybe someday, or what if he thinks it's too much. Speak them, share them in the dark, in the in-between moments. They're in his ear while he's inside you. And when you do, you become unforgettable, not just because you turned him on, but because you trusted him enough to let your fire show. Realize and that kind of confidence, that's what makes a man not just want you, but need you. There's one thing above all else that turns a man on in a way he can't explain or shake. And it's not a new technique, a perfect body, or even some wild move in bed. It's when a woman loses herself in the moment, when she stops performing, worrying about how she looks, stops thinking about how she's coming across, and just lets go. When she surrenders to her own pleasure, that is what makes a man sexually obsessed, because it's so rare, so powerful, so deeply human. See, most people, men and women, are trapped in their heads during intimacy, overthinking, managing, protecting. But obsession doesn't come from technique. It comes from presence. When you're fully in your body, when you move and sound and breathe from instincts, not control. Control awakens something primal in him. It tells him she's not here to impress me. She's here to feel me. And that distinction makes all the difference when you're moaning not to sound sexy, but because you literally can't help it. When your hands are pulling at him because you're desperate to feel him deeper, when your hips move without choreography because your body knows what it wants. That energy is magnetic. Realize that's when he's not just having sex with you. He's witnessing something raw, real, sacred. And moment a man feels like he's part of that kind of experience, your total surrender to the now, he becomes obsessed, not with the act itself, but with the version of you that showed up. You realize that they're wild, open, free. And don't mistake surrender for weakness. This isn't about submission. It's about freedom. A woman who trusts herself enough to feel everything is the most powerful woman in the room. She doesn't need to scream to be sexy. She doesn't need to dominate to be in control. Realize that her power is in her depth, the way her body speaks louder than her words, the way her eyes stay closed not to block him out. But because she's inside herself, they're feeling every sensation he's creating. That's what drives him mad. That's what gets embedded in his memory. When you let go, when you truly stop censoring your reactions or hiding your hunger, you create something unrepeatable. No one else can fake that. No one else can copy it, because it's not about what you're doing. It's about what you're feeling. You're making the moment unforgettable because you were unforgettable in it. That's what men crave, but don't know how to ask for. A woman who stops being perfect and becomes present, who stops posing and starts living the moment. That's when he stops seeing you as just someone he desires and starts experiencing you as someone who changes him, who opens something in him. Who sets a new standard. So forget perfection, forget control, let go. Lose yourself, not for him, but for you. Because when you do, not only will you feel more alive, you'll become the woman Evan he can't stop thinking about, even when he tries. So let me leave you with this. The women men remember for a night. They follow a script. Women men remember forever. They break it. Because what makes a man sexually obsessed isn't just what you do in bed, it's who you become while you're there. When you take control, realize that when you whisper your truth, when you move with intention, touch with curiosity, and let go of all the rulers, that's when you go from desirable to unforgettable. You don't need to be a fantasy. You need to be fully alive. Let your hands say what your mouth won't. Let your body speak before your words do. Realize that let your pleasure lead the way and watch how fast he follows. Because here's the secret most women miss. Realize that a man doesn't become addicted to your performance. He becomes addicted to the way he feels when you're finally free. So if you're ready to stop holding back, if you're ready to show up in your desire with zero apology, then drop a comment below and say, "Oh, my pleasure." Say it and mean it. And if this message spoke to a part of you that's been quiet for too long, share it with someone you love. Subscribe for more unfiltered, honest, and empowering truths about love, sex, and everything in between. Because this isn't about pleasing him. This is about awakening you. And trust me, once you do that, he won't just want you. He'll never be able to forget you.